Have you thought about Shrewsbury Town recently and what's going on there? No? Only me? You better click off because that's what this video is about. Let's get into it. So Shrewsbury Town, or Shrewsbury Town, whichever you want to call it. I once asked a supporter of the club, how do I pronounce your club's name, your hometown, because he was from there. And he said, don't get me cancelled. I'm not going to give you my opinion. So Shrewsbury, whatever it is, I suppose if you disagree, you're going to leave abuse anyway, so I can't stop that. But basically, the club lost their manager, Gareth Ainsworth, not too long ago. This week has been a tough week for Shrewsbury Town fans, and they lost their manager, Gareth Ainsworth, who left to take charge of League Two Gillingham. He wasn't in charge for that long amount of time, maybe like what feels like 2 or 3 months. I don't have the exact amount of time in front of me, but it wasn't that long. He's been replaced by Michael Appleton, and there was a lot of speculation as to why Gareth Ainsworth left Shrewsbury Town, and now we think, well, if you 2 with 2 at 4, we might have an idea. This was a statement released by the club this week. It is with deep sadness and frustration that I write to you. So this is basically from the Shrewsbury Town chairman. It is with deep sadness and frustration that I write to you, our supporters, for the second time in just 7 days. Following the unexpected departure of Gareth Ainsworth last week, I promised to keep you informed about the exclusivity period that we entered with a prospective new buyer. Unfortunately, I must now share the disappointing news that this exclusivity agreement ended March 31st, Monday, without seeing a completed sale. I know this will be a major disappointment to our supporters. It is bitterly disappointing for me, as both the board and I feel deeply let down by how events have unfolded over the past few months. Back in September of 2024, we entered our first ever exclusivity period with an overseas investor to facilitate the sale of my shares in this football club. This would give the buyer of my shares control of the club, training ground, land, and all other assets associated with STFC. From Shrewsbury Town perspective, all due diligence was completed before Christmas of 2024, giving the chance for the new owner to have an impact in the January transfer window. Let's just scroll down. However, as with any sale, completion depends on the buyer's willingness to complete. Unfortunately for STFC, we understand our prospective owners remain embroiled in a lengthy and complex legal dispute unrelated to football. Their ongoing situation has demanded much of their time and attention, preventing them from dedicating the necessary focus to acquiring the club. As a result, we are no longer in an exclusivity period. While this is hugely disappointing, we thank our potential investors for their time and effort. I mean, that's nice. It doesn't really help you, but it's nice, I guess. Back to the statement. I want to reassure supporters that the search for new investors has already resumed today, with fresh expressions of interest received as early as this morning. As I have said in prior statements previously, my intention has been to find a successor who was a local businessman who had the club's and the town's best interests at heart. Over the years, I twice believed I had found the right local investor, only for both parties to withdraw from the process after agreeing to the asking price. This time, we appointed an intermediary with a track record of success in selling football clubs to help us secure a new buyer, and we entered into an exclusivity period where we were optimistic about the future. I understand that some supporters may see this as another potential takeover that hasn't come to fruition. However, I want to emphasize that this was the first time we had entered into an exclusivity agreement with an overseas investor. All the work needed on our side had been completed, which leaves us in a better position for the next potential investors, as we have already finalized the vast majority of any due diligence a buyer would ask us to complete. So if the club is going to get sold, it's going to get sold relatively quickly. Despite this setback, I remain fully committed to finding the right successor. The reality is that football has moved on. The era of local businessmen running clubs at this level has come to an end. They're in League One, for God's sakes, and they're saying that. I mean, I'm a Swindon Town fan. We've got an Australian owner, so maybe he's right. Until yesterday, we were bound by non-disclosure agreements, and I regret having to bring you this news. He does actually, I've missed a line saying, from the beginning of this process, we committed to keeping our supporters informed whenever legally possible. Back to the rest of the statement. Nobody likes uncertainty, and I can understand the concern and worry among supporters, something that isn't helped by people who decide to spread rumors and misinformation. Fake news. The club always intended to write to supporters today, but due to a newspaper leak on Sunday, the board arranged a meeting with a variety of supporters last night in order to dispel as much misinformation as possible. Fake news. As much as someone born and raised in Shrewsbury, and as a lifelong supporter of this club, I will continue to do everything in my power as chairman to act in the best interests of STFC. So that then is the statement from Shrewsbury, whichever you prefer. It should be Shrewsbury, shouldn't it? Because it's SHREWS. So I should say Shrewsbury, but I've always said Shrewsbury, and apparently I've been told from some people that that's right, and then some people that that's wrong. So, tell me what's right, tell me what's wrong. You're going to abuse me anyway. Cambridge United, the opponents today, not Michael Appleton's first game in charge, drew 0-0 midweek with promotion chasing Wickham. Not a bad result to go there at Adams Park and get a 0-0 draw. Bottom of the table, Shrewsbury, taking on Cambridge United. 3 points between you and Neil Harris in charge at Cambridge United. Let's hope for some better news for Michael Appleton's side, and hopefully the Shrews, as it should be Shrewsbury, can win today. Good luck to you.